Hi everyone and welcome to this week's video. This week is actually, we skipped a week purely because we only had a few days of actually getting this bulkhead cut out of the donor car, and then we had the cannonball as well. So the cannonball was 5 days of madness driving around Ireland and following supercars, trying to fix broken down supercars and having a great time, to be honest with you. It was a wonderful experience, absolutely fantastic. And if you go to any of the Cannonball social media pages, you'll see all the uploads of some really cool pictures and an amazing bunch of cars that were there this year. Right, in today's video, obviously the bulkhead, the donor car, we managed to get that sorted, pick it out of the cutout section, which is the remainder of the scrap that's left here, and then fit the bulkhead to the car. Finally, the car is now right-hand drive, and we're going to go through that and explain how I did it and where we're at right now. So yeah, on with the video. So chopped up the Sierra straight across the floor, across the pillars, and then I was left, I cut it by the shock turrets as well, and left myself that section and took that section away, and I was able to then pick out just the piece that I needed. Now, so let's see what we've got here. We have the remains of the section I cut out of the donor car, and when I was taking out the bulkhead section that I needed, obviously you try not to damage the actual piece that you need, so there's a lot of hacking goes on to try and get at some of the some of the holes for the spot welds and stuff like that, to try and not damage the panel that I need. So that's obviously the bits that we don't need. Now the new section is now sitting in the car, and I'm just test fitting it in there at the minute, just to see how it's looking and lining up, and will the windscreen line up, and all of that. So as you'll probably see, there's nuts and bolts on the tunnel there, and I've got a few other nuts and bolts on the chassis legs there as well. That is just to allow me to squeeze everything up nice and tight, get my alignment right where it meets the windscreen, so that obviously the windscreen obviously is lined up okay. And before I completely weld it up, I'm going to change the rack and put on the steering column as well, and just make sure that all that we've good clearance and everything's right there just before before we go welding. But what the nuts and bolts allow me to do is, just because it's quite a light panel anyway, and with all the cutting and all the rest of it, it did lose its shape a little bit, so that allows me to get its shape back into it. And on the tunnel here, what I'm doing with the weld is there's 10mm either side of an overlap, so I'll weld it on this side, weld it on the other side, and that'll give me much more strength than going edge to edge or anything like that. So it's actually I'm going to have continuous weld all the way along, and then grind that back and put seam sealer over that then. But it'll actually be obviously it won't be just spot welded in. It's I'm going to weld as much of it as possible, just to give it as much strength as possible. But yeah, so look, that's where we are. It lines up nicely around the edges. Today is what day is today? Thursday, and we're getting ready to go on the cannonball. So that's as much as I can do to this week. So I only got 2 full days work on the Sierra this week, but fortunately they were productive 2 days. I was able to get this from the donor car, I was able to separate it, and I was able to fit that to that stage. So slightly later than anticipated, we finished the cannonball. We had an amazing few days, and unfortunately I got sick afterwards. Was completely run down with 5 heavy days on the cannonball. Anyway, that's besides the point. As you can see, the bulkhead is now completely in. and there is seam sealer on it, which means I welded it into place. It's lined up perfectly. I got the steering column in, I got the windscreen sitting in place, and that was all lined up okay. So I took down the subframe, because the subframe is actually different anyway for the right-hand drive rack that we got, and I've everything stripped back, ready to prime. So I just wanted to show you this before I started priming anything. I took the suspensions down as well as the subframe, because obviously we're changing the suspensions, and I'm putting in polyurethane bushes into the track control arms, and obviously it's new brake discs and new brake pads, so we're going to be redoing a refurb and all of that. But what I wanted to do was, before I prime this, just wanted to go through everything and show you what we've done so far. So as you can see, it's welded all the way along, okay, on both sides. Then I used Tiger Seal to seal the joint completely, so it's completely waterproof. And then I put brushable seam sealer all the way along, and that worked out pretty well. There's quite a lot of MIG wire gone into this, and it turned out pretty good. So we're happy with it. I'll go on the inside now and show you how that looks in there. In here, you can see the joint all the way along there, and all the way along there. The seam sealer, obviously you can't see, the welding on it, but look, there wasn't much point showing you the weld, because look, weld is weld. It got welded all the way along, got ground down. Like I say, got the sealer on it, got a nice joint on it. It's in. I'm very happy with it. It's super solid, and it's ready to prime. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to prime it. I'm going to prime down, as far as here. But what I'm going to do is I am going to paint in under the bonnet as well, to have the whole thing fresh and just to have it blended in, because even though it's lovely and fresh under here, and there probably isn't a great need to paint under the bonnet, there's no point having that thing completely bright white and everything beautiful, and the likes of, marks like this and marks like that showing. So I am going to paint that. The four-wheel drive bonnet is over there. That's going to be painted. Like I said, we 1 or 2 scratches on the front bumper anyway, so that's going to be painted. And what I'm going to do, just to, obviously, because to get the colour right, I am going to flash the top of the wings with colour, and then lacquer it down into it then altogether, because it'll be all it'll all blend in pretty nicely then. So that is where we are at the moment, and yeah, pretty happy with it. So a lot of work. It's been a bit of a ball ache, really, purely based on the fact of being away for 5 days with the Cannonball, being absolutely hammered with a sickness after it, and only kind of getting back at it yesterday and today. So it's been 2 weeks since I did a video, and the amount, I would say I've probably had 5 days work on the car in total in the 2 weeks to get it to this stage. So even though it looks like it's taken a while, it hasn't actually taken that long to do if one was let at it. So I'm going to leave it here for this week, and on next week's video we'll have it all painted and all looking nice, and the enjoyable part then will be the putting back of it. But it is now officially a right-hand drive Sierra Cosworth. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's video. Thank you for watching, and feel free to get involved in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, give us a like, and subscribe and hit the notification button as well if you want to see more videos and see me putting this car back together, finally on the way back together. And oh yes, the head is back from the engine shop, and so we'll be building the engine as well, and that'll be in next week's video as well. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will talk to you all next week.